y'all? This is Mike and Juju's Movie Corner. Hi guys, as always, entertainment purposes only. Today we've got a Cold War kid power fantasy. I'm talking Louis Gossett Jr., a teenage protagonist, Reagan era military warship. I mean, this is really the peak 1986 cinema gem.
That's right. Iron Eagle. The movie that made every Gen X kid believe they could literally steal military jets and save their day.
Right. Let's do a little plot breakdown real fast for the people who haven't seen this. We got Doug Masters, a teenage pilot who rescues his fighter pilot father, who's been imprisoned in a Middle Eastern country after crossing the border.
Team ups with retired Colonel Chappie Coleman, played by Louis Gossett Jr. Also steals the F-16 fighter jets to execute military rescue mission.
Right, just a normal 80s teenage kid day. Alright, so this is really our generation's ultimate wish fulfillment.
Absolute Cold War teenage power fantasy.
Let's talk about the cultural context here. We're talking 1986. Ronald Reagan's America. And our military at that time was really kind of our pop culture superhero.
Top Gun had just hit. Military recruitment was basically a teenage boy's dream job.
Right? One of the main characters in this, as we said, Doug Masters, your 18-year-old protagonist. Colonel Charles Chappie Coleman, retired Air Force pilot.
Doug's imprisoned father, military pilot shot down and captured. Antagonist, unnamed Middle Eastern military leadership.
Right? Alright, so this was Louis Gossett Jr., fresh off of An Officer and a Gentleman. I mean, peak 80s tough guy mentor role.
The movie that said teenagers can absolutely solve international conflicts with stolen military hardware.
Why not?
Why not?
Let's talk about production details, Juju. What was the budget on this one?
Approximately $12 million.
And what did it pull in at the box office?
$24 million.
So it hit double.
It doubled.
I mean, not bad. The release date on this one was January 1986. So it's directed by Sidney J. Furie. And one great thing about this one was the soundtrack. I mean, we're talking classic 80s rock anthems.
Right.
This movie was basically a military recruitment video disguised as an action film.
Could be. And we ate it up.
Right? That's a concept there, ain't it?
Yeah.
Wonder who put that movie out, who backed it.
Right.
They sure had access to a lot of military jets.
Yeah, we did that.
Alright, anyway. Let's talk a little bit about some of the generational psychology themes involved here. You've got teenage rebellion,
Military heroism,
Cold War masculinity,
father-son bonding,
and don't forget American exceptionalism. I mean, we really did believe we could solve anything with enough attitude and maybe just a little access to some military equipment.
Can I borrow that? Totally. This movie said teenagers know better than train up diplomats and military leadership.
I mean, sometimes. Anyway, technical absurdities that we loved about this movie. I mean, come on. The absolutely nonsense of teenagers owning an F-16 fighter jet.
And somehow knowing how to fly them perfectly.
Right? There really was a lot of technical impossibilities in this that you see now when you go back and watch. But as kids, man, it was the 80s. I mean, let's talk about some of those. You had teenagers flying complex military aircraft, inexperienced pilots executing military missions, zero realistic international consequences, and pulling off these miraculous aerial combat skills. I mean, why not? I mean, it really is, though, conceivable by today's standards.
But perfect by 1986 standards.
Right? Something else great about this one that I said earlier was the soundtrack. I mean, you've got heavy metal rock anthems, testosterone-fueled musical backdrop, and songs that just scream American Youth Power.
The soundtrack was basically a teenage rebellion set to guitar riffs.
The legacy of this spawned multiple sequels, became cult classic of the 80s action genre, and it represented that peak Cold War youth fantasy. I mean, this movie really taught us that
Teenagers are smarter than adults. Military hardware solves international conflicts. Rock music makes everything more heroic.
absolutely, Juju. I mean, peak Gen X cinema. Gen X forever.
Gen X. And totally. Where's my stolen F-16 at?
Alright guys, we better hurry up and wrap this up. I think Juju's got a little mission. Alright, as always, I'm your boy and your host Mike.
I'm your co-host Juju.
And we'll see you next time.